Coming up on Exclusive Doctors DFW, Janice could hardly walk due to too much pain in her legs, but now
I got where I couldn't even sleep, and all of that has stopped since he's done the procedure.
you will meet Trina. All she wanted to do was play with her grandkids, but at 254 pounds, she lacked energy. Not anymore. The incredible story of Roxanne. A doctor herself had trouble getting pregnant, but that changed. We'll have the reason why. How about Terry, confined to a wheelchair due to bad knees, but she's back on her feet doing things she loves and credits one special DFW doctor. Plus, how Janice got her eyesight back and Sherilyn is no longer living in pain due to a hip injury. We'll tell you why. This and much more coming up next on Exclusive Doctors DFW. Hello everyone, I am Jim Knox. We welcome you to this special edition of Exclusive Doctors DFW. This show is all about outstanding doctors in the Dallas-Fort Worth area helping patients get back to living their lives to the fullest, like Janice. Janice could hardly walk on what she described as Charlie horses in her legs, but that quickly changed with the help from Dr. Thomas Eitzen.
I had nerve damage in both feet since 1995. And after I became a diabetic, it progressively got worse. And my feet, I didn't know I had feet for 20 years. They were dead, even though I could still walk with a cane. And then it progressively went up my legs up to almost my knees, where I had no feeling.
Janice actually had the exact same problem that her daughter had presented to us with, which was significant pain, restlessness, where she just couldn't get comfortable. She wasn't sleeping at night, which of course compounds the pain problem. People just don't heal well and they don't have a good quality of life if they're not sleeping well. And so same thing, we evaluated her just with a simple ultrasound. She had significant vein issues and we treated it. And after her very first procedure, she actually reported to us that when she came back for her next treatment, that for the first time in years, she had actually slept through the night. So that was a huge improvement for her very rapidly, although not always typical, but changed her life in a matter of hours.
I was hurting very, very bad in my groin all the way down. And I had severe, not like Charlie horses, they were severe cramps all night long. I got where I couldn't even sleep. And all of that has stopped since he's done the procedure. I can walk now 10 minutes without having to stop. I went from 2 minutes to 10 minutes. And now I can walk 10 minutes without stopping. And so I'm trying to build back up and do better. It just takes time to heal, but I can already, in just the next day, I can tell the difference.
Well, what makes it successful is the term now is minimally invasive. Basically, through a nick in the skin, we're able to treat what used to take large incisions, hospital stay, and things like that. So the trauma to the surrounding tissue is significantly less. Downtime is typically minutes, not weeks, like it used to be with old school surgery, and very few limitations. And so patients are able to resume their activities rather quickly.
The staff here makes you feel welcome. They make you feel like they put you at ease. Like Dr. Thomas said, what kind of music you like? I said, I like Christian music. And he said, well, I got that. And I said, oh, that's my favorite song. And so he sang it to me while he was doing the surgery or procedure. Dr. Thomas changed my life.
Janice continues to enjoy walking and is pain-free. Someone else who is now enjoying walking is Terry. Terry had 2 bad knees and was confined to a wheelchair, but was determined to get back on her feet. So she traveled the world and found the right doctor to help her walk again. And that doctor practices right here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area.
Back in 1985, I flipped my bicycle in a regular bicycling accident and broke the ends of both femurs and walked around on them for 2 years, unaware that that's what was causing the problems. Then I had my first heart attack in '03, and then I ended up having another heart attack, and that took me out for a long time. I had stem cells for my heart, and 2 years in, I'm getting back from that. And I started walking to preserve my heart, and that's when I ripped the cartilage and the tendons in my knee loose and was wheelchair bound solid for 6 months.
I met Terry at an international stem cell conference. Dr. Reardon and I were both speaking at a conference in the Bahamas. It's mostly speaking to other clinicians, and more even than that, is mostly scientists. But Terry went to this meeting as a patient in a wheelchair to find a doctor that would take care of her using cells.
I went, Dr. McKenna presented, and I was extremely impressed with him and with his results. And afterwards, at the cocktail party, I'm in a wheelchair and a friend's pushing me around, and I said, I need to talk to you. I want to see if you can help me.
She set up an appointment to come. She lives in Florida, and she set up an appointment to come see us at the clinic here in Texas.
I go to the appointment to see Dr. McKenna. He evaluates. He says, well, good news and bad news. We can do, you do need a left total knee. The right knee, I think we can just maybe do a partial, but let's start with your left knee. In 6 months, it's going to be your good knee. And we started in April. By June, the end of June, I was way more functional than he thought I was going to be.
We were counting on the use of a minimally invasive component to protect her joint surface and give the cells a chance to work. And she had the procedure and killed it. I mean, she was at 6 weeks sending me videos of her walking on the beach.
Come September, he did my right knee. He did a hemiarthroplasty on it and injected full of stem cells and amnion. And I did the rehab for it and walking and improving things. I was walking 1.5 miles every day, and I had gotten up to 3 miles a day.
And so now, fast forward a few years, Terry rides a motorcycle. She's walking, 5 miles a day on the beach and sending pictures of footprints, and she's done extremely well.
As I tell Dr. McKenna, you gave me my life back. Who knew, 63 and I'm out chasing rainbows and hitting the beaches and hitting the mountains and loving it.
Terry continues to enjoy life as well as her motorcycle. Coming up, the story of Trina. This grandmother could not play with her grandkids because she was unhealthy and weighed 254 pounds, but not anymore. And Diana gives thanks to a special Dallas-Fort Worth doctor that helped her get back on her feet. Her incredible story coming up next on Exclusive Doctors DFW.
In today's competitive digital world, it's more important than ever that your business stands out. And the way you do that is with video. As one of the country's leading video content providers, Identity Media Services can help you attract new clients. Adding video to your website can increase the chance of a front page Google result by 53 times. Or how about over 70% of web users will click on a link that has video over ones that do not? Give us a call for a free consultation or check us out at identitymediaservices.com.
Welcome back to this special edition of Exclusive Doctors DFW. Now to the story of Trina. At one time, she weighed 254 pounds and was very unhealthy. And with a lack of energy, she could hardly play with her grandkids. But that changed with the help of Dr. Nick Nicholson from the Nicholson Clinic.
At my heaviest, I was 254 pounds. I had recently, my grandson was born, my first grandson, and I couldn't walk. I could walk, but I couldn't run. I couldn't do the things that he enjoyed, like walking out in the pasture, checking on the cows, things like that. I couldn't keep up with him. And it was heartbreaking. It was heartbreaking that I couldn't do the things that his other grandmother could do. I was not in good health at all.
Trina was a great patient, actually, because when people come in, they come in for a myriad of reasons. Some people have different goals from others, and in some cases people want to be able to wear the dress that they wore in high school 20 years ago. Other people just want to get their diabetes to go away, and they really could care less how much weight they lose. Other people just want to feel healthy, and in her case, she really did this with and for her family. She wanted to be able to keep up with the grandkids.
I had the gastric sleeve, and I started noticing results within a month. Within 4 weeks, I was noticing results. It's a lifestyle change, and you have to be ready to make that lifestyle change. And it's not something that just happens overnight, but it can happen if you're willing to put in the work and do what you need to do.
The ultimate measure of success is their quality of life. You know, can you chase the kids around? Can you climb the bleachers to go to that volleyball game? You know, do you no longer have to take all of those medicines and you're on a first name basis with the girl at the pharmacy? You know, those are the things that really matter to us. And so it's extremely gratifying when somebody comes in and by their measure of success, you know, this went in the win column.
I feel so much better. I can walk up a flight of stairs. I don't have to take the elevator. I actually walk upstairs now instead of taking the elevator. I was able to slide down the slide of a bouncy house at a birthday party this past March with my grandson, which the year before, I couldn't even get in the bounce house. I could not physically get up the stairs and get into the bounce house. So that was huge. That was huge for me, being able to enjoy life with him. And now I have another grandson that I can enjoy things with too as well. So it's just been, they changed my life. They changed my life here. They saved my life.
With the help of the Nicholson Clinic, Trina continues to enjoy life as well as spending plenty of time with her grandkids. On to the story of Diana. She was living in severe pain daily, but now pain-free, thanks to Dr. Ty.
Well, in 2001, I had a back surgery, my first one, and I have a spondylolisthesis, a spinal disease. I was born with it, and they had to go in and put hardware in and fuse my lumbar, but about 6 months into it, I had 2 of the titanium screws broke. So they went back in there and replaced them, but from the time that they broke, the pain was just excruciating and it just never got better. It just kept getting worse and worse. And I couldn't find any help. Medicine had quit working for me. I was passing out. I was throwing up from the pain. I couldn't sleep. My life was nothing. It was horrible, just horrible.
Diana, when I examined her, I mean, she could barely walk. She could barely do anything at all because she was in so much excruciating pain. She had lost so much functionality in there. The muscles weren't working, the nerves weren't working. I mean, literally nothing was working at all in her spinal cord and in her legs. And so what we did is we did a test treatment of my process to see if her nerves would even respond, if her body could actually even create that environment. Now, what we found was just amazing.
He did a trial on me just to see if my nerves would react to the treatment, and they did. I was able to sit up straight. I was able to walk straight, and I hadn't done that in years. So I started going to him and followed his process, because it is a process, and I'm doing great.
And she's basically a shell of herself now. I mean, she is just completely different, where she tells me all the time that when she goes to the bank and she goes to the grocery store, everybody doesn't recognize her. Because before, they were used to the Diana that couldn't even get around. And now, she's everywhere, and she's able to do things. And she walks around with a smile on her face. I mean, it's just priceless.
I'm able to go and do now. I've got grandchildren, I'm able to play with them. Before, you know, they had to visit me in bed, literally in bed. It makes me want to cry to think about how bad and how horrible I was living compared to now. Dr. Ty is such a caring doctor. I tell everyone, and I mean everyone, about Dr. Ty. I do, because I get the rest of my life now of living so much better than I ever dreamed I could have ever lived before. I never dreamed in a million years I was going to receive this much help.
Diana credits Dr. Ty for giving her life back. And for more information on how Dr. Ty can help change your life, go to nerveandlaser.com or exclusivedoctors.dfw.com. Coming up, after a number of setbacks, Roxanne continued to try to start a family, and then it finally happened. We will have that incredible story. And Sherilyn, she suffered for years with a painful hip, but not anymore. We'll tell you how she got her life back as well, as Exclusive Doctors DFW continues after this.
The moment you get on a flight and realize you don't need a seatbelt extender. The moment you realize you can wear whatever you want. The moment you start living your life again. The team at the Nicholson Clinic, doctors, dietitians, and counselors will be with you all the way to help you reach your weight loss goals. Your moment is here. Nicholson Clinic has teamed up with Texas General Hospital to raise the bar for patient care.
Welcome back to this special edition of Exclusive Doctors DFW. Roxanne, a doctor herself, wanted to start a family, but had a difficult time getting pregnant. But that changed thanks to Roxanne's perseverance and infertility specialist, Dr. Samuel Chantillis.
My ideal and my goals when I got married and was planning my family was to have at least 5 kids. So, of course, I had like the perfect wedding, and then a year later we decided to start trying to get pregnant. And after a year, nothing happened. So I initially went to my OBGYN and I asked her what she thought I should do, and she gave me Dr. Chantillis's name.
Roxanne, and I've known her for a number of years professionally. As you know, she's a physician, and initially she goes through. Of course, she went through a basic evaluation, and specifically some of the ovarian reserve tests were lower than we expected, and we decided to move on to in vitro fertilization. With her first cycle of attempt of IVF, we had to cancel the cycle because she just didn't respond. And so we went through a second time and we had to cancel again.
Everybody expects, oh, you just do IVF and you get pregnant. It didn't happen like that. It didn't happen like that for a while. And it was really frustrating to have to go through planning an IVF cycle, waiting for your pregnancy results, and not getting positive results.
Because she didn't respond well, we decided to convert it to an artificial insemination cycle, and it worked.
A week later, we got a phone call that we had tested positive for our artificial insemination working, and it was just a wild experience to go from not having the ability to have any children to all of a sudden we potentially were going to have 2 children 6 months apart.
I saw her about a year or so later, and we had these 2 embryos, and we went ahead and did a frozen embryo transfer, and I recommended that we transfer both of these embryos, both of them implanted, and anyway, she has boy-girl twins now, and now she's walking around with 3 kids.
I still remember the phone call that Dr. Chantillis called us personally to tell us that we were pregnant with twins. And it's just been surreal ever since to go from 4 years of not being able to get pregnant to in 2 years we've had 3 kids. It's been a crazy journey. It took 4 years to get pregnant with our first child. Just to see their eyes light up when they see us, their parents, and to just have that feeling that I'm now a parent, it's just, words can't describe it.
Roxanne, a great example of perseverance, now of course a mother of 3. Meanwhile, there are thousands of people with hip problems that live daily in a great deal of pain. Sherilyn was one of them, but she decided to do something about it as she found a doctor that helped change her life.
We're really not sure what happened. Through the years, it just got to a point where it was just really hard to move around. It was just getting worse and worse, and I was told once that it starts affecting your life, that's when you'll want the surgery.
Sherilyn is a 56-year-old female who had severe osteoarthritis of her right hip. Like most patients, Sherilyn waited many, many years to seek treatment.
His marketing people came in our office, and my coworker started asking different questions because I was still determined I was not going to have a hip replacement.
When we examined Sherilyn, she had decreased range of motion and severe pain in her hip. Her pain was not responsive to conservative measures such as medications or injections. We talked about standard approaches and minimally invasive surgical techniques. For her, we opted to perform an anterior hip replacement, which is a minimally invasive approach to hip replacement.
There was just a confidence of him, and he made me feel secure. That's what I needed. So once I met him, there was no turning back on it.
For Sherilyn, we decided to use the anterior supine hip replacement. This technique allows us to get to the hip joint without damaging any muscle. Patients recover quicker and have less pain than with typical manual surgery.
Well, they do go in from the front, and the scar's very minimal, so your recovery is a lot easier.
Sherilyn's recovery was remarkable. A few days after her surgery, she was actually able to walk without any cane, crutch, or an assistive device.
I have no pain. And even when I was in the hospital, I didn't take pain medication. And they're like, "Are you sure?" I catch myself running across the street or, just things like that. It's just sitting Indian style, just things that I haven't done in forever. And if they called me today and told me I had to get my other hip done, I'd be there. So he's my man.
Thanks to Dr. Charles Tolson, Sherilyn is enjoying life and living pain-free. Coming up, Janice got her eyesight back, and she credits a very special and thoughtful doctor. Janice's story is next on Exclusive Doctors DFW.
It was really difficult for my husband and I. I was taking injections twice a day. I was also taking about 17 different supplements.
We had to find a way to take the 17 pills and how do you take that and make it 5 pills?
We narrowed it down to 6 core principal ingredients to give us the best fertility supplement on the market.
There's nothing else, all 6, no fluff.
Welcome back to this special edition of Exclusive Doctors DFW. Now to the story of Janice. All of a sudden, she could not see out of one of her eyes. But that changed as one doctor went out of his way to help her get her eyesight back.
It was 4 years ago. I woke up early one Sunday morning and I noticed that something was wrong with the vision in my right eye. And 25% of my vision was blocked by a black curtain. And that was really shocking. So I ran to my husband, Bob. He said, "You need to see a doctor today." So knowing him, he quickly went to work and found 5 that he was going to call. Of those 5, 1 doctor called back, and it was Dr. Matthews. And we explained my situation to him, and he said, "Janice, I need to see you today. My office is closed, but I will open it and you meet me there." So we drove to his office, and he did identify that I did indeed have a retina detachment.
Janice presented to me with a detached retina that had occurred in her right eye. The fluid had accumulated and peeled the retina off like wallpaper would from a wall. And once that occurs, patients' visions drop dramatically. And we took her to surgery, and remarkably, she got back an outstanding recovery.
So he saved my vision in my right eye, but it doesn't stop there. 4 years later, this last August, coming back from a family get-together, all of a sudden in my good eye, my left eye, I had this sudden burst of floaters and some flashes. And I said again to my husband, "I think I have a problem."
More recently, Janice presented to me by first calling me on the weekend, describing to me a problem that sounded like she had a retinal tear, which is a prelude to a retinal detachment. But the good news is none of the fluid had begun to accumulate around this tear,
in such a way that we were able to cure this problem in the office on the same day that she came in. And she was successful in the treatment, and she's out about a month from her treatment now, and she's doing wonderful.
Today I'm tutoring an autistic young man, Alex. He's 24 years old, just precious as can be. I teach him 3 days a week, and it's just an exciting time to know that I can do what I love to do. Dr. Matthews not only saved my vision in one eye, but both eyes. And so today I can continue my life as I want to and have fun, and Dr. Matthews will always be very special.
Happy to report that Janice is doing fine and her eyesight is crystal clear thanks to Dr. Matthews. Now, after returning from vacation, Vince was diagnosed with a rare infection in his brain. The prognosis was not good until Dr. Brent Morgan stepped in.
Well, the Apollo system is a unique device that we use to aspirate intracerebral hemorrhages. Basically, it's an endoscopic procedure. We place an endoscope under guidance, sort of like GPS guidance, but we place into the bleeding in the brain. And then we use this Apollo device to aspirate or suction out the hematoma. So it's a small hole and a small approach, and so we can do it very minimally invasively. According to the company, they said that we were the first hospital and I was the first doctor in Texas to do that procedure.
I had meningitis, bacteria infection, and it was horrible. It was terrible. I was snow skiing, severe headaches. I thought it was the altitude. Then my memory stopped recording, and what I was told was that I had severe headaches and I wasn't thinking straight, and I was rushed to the hospital, and I ended up in intensive care, and Dr. Morgan showed up.
Vince was a patient that we had at the hospital actually up here in McKinney. He was found to have an infection in his fluid spaces in the ventricles in the brain, which is a lot of times a lethal problem. I had the idea of potentially using this Apollo device, which we use to aspirate bleeding, and I thought, why couldn't it aspirate out infectious process? And so we transferred him down to Plano, where we have this device, and we used the procedure to remove the infection from his brain, and it was extremely effective. The pre and post-op scans showed that we'd removed most of the active infection in there, and it completely turned his course around. So that was the first time nationwide anybody's used it for that specific indication. Luckily, that's not a very common problem, but in this patient's life, I really believe it saved his life because we were able to aspirate it out and get rid of the infection.
Dr. Morgan, he's just he's very knowledgeable, yet he's very friendly. He's some doctors are not good with patients. He is. He's just magnificent.
That's what we do. We try to do good things and turn patients' outcomes around. And somebody that probably was not going to survive their injury, and now he's surviving and he's functional. As I understand, he's back to work and doing a lot of things that he did before. I mean, that's exciting.
You know, people who have this kind of bleed, they press on the brain and then it herniates, and most of the time they have death. Even if they recover, they have weakness, they have problem with the speech, they couldn't talk, they couldn't concentrate, focus, and they have basically disabled. But now he is walking, talking. If he doesn't tell anybody, you can even say that he had this kind of procedure.
I feel like I'm a dead man celebrating life, and I'm happy about that. And Dr. Morgan's Apollo procedure saved my life.
Vince is doing well thanks to Dr. Brent Morgan. That will do it for this edition of Exclusive Doctors DFW. For more life-changing stories and information on these outstanding doctors, please log on to exclusivedoctorsdfw.com. So long, everyone.